Many amamena was saying, I'm a quaba. Yen papa MusahDanquah, our ye pusta, our Ghana memoha. Minia, question my person be bisao, a fan, and they say, or ye credible, or hear you, my dear old na. Or ye credible, and I say, or ye credible. Way a your question be a NPP4 a bisa. MusahDanquah Eddie Pooh be eba abontin and rich ye. And now all children say NPP, they are losing their grounds because Binum ewo hokura na omo ye floating voters. Ibinum so na omo NPP4. They are now draining NDC. Ye didn't see enema omo draining NDC. What is a Pooh results no eba abontin no NPP4 anye omo de. Bibre na kasa edi afa ho. Ebimu kura kasa amomo ano atia no. Ebimu chiremu MusahDanquah sisi ade NDC4 na sponsor omo na sanka enye sa kelentrafu obo ekosoro kokokuafo sun akyerɛkyerɛfoɔ ne anɛsefoɔ a ɔmo ayɛ adwuma yɛntua ɔmo ka ebimu so ɛda so gufi a yɛmposti ɔmo na this time o sign be ka kyerɛ Ghana for say NDC bom na egene ground so dia na MusahDanquah obua wei ama MusahDanquah so ababonten ɔbaba kyerem pu na wɔyɛɛ no ɛkwan yɛ ɔfa so ɛyɛɛ ne enti ɛma no ka say NDC fumum na egene ground na NPP eluso ground no Minia, my young Kunko see in Chirimu MusahDanquah or the Abba. Na bia after say obey video no Edia Kwakusi Aviano. Wow, me, obete who na what we say MusahDanquah the all can ACC so and I say ACC so. We are now comment section when I watch the YB. Unya and subscribe ya, mess or subscribe to this amazing channel. We are share video so. Family no so unyabi ehwe. Nyanko ponchila na onka ho. Yenko na yenkuti yen papa MusahDanquah, the only poster in Ghana.
This is the summary of your findings. We're saying that the latest global info analytics poll for the first quarter of 2026 continues to show shifts in party affiliations compared to the December 2025 polls. The poll shows the governing NDC stretching its advantage in party affiliations while the main opposition MPP continues to lose grounds. Okay, the poll, which is conducted between 5th to the 23rd of March 2026, shows voters who openly associate themselves with the NDC has increased from 41% to 45% between December 2025 to March 2026, while the MPP declined from 26% to 25%. Data from the swing regions, we're talking Greater Accra, Central and Western, which are critical in winning elections in Ghana, is more alarming for the main opposition, as the NDC now has 53% support compared to 24% for the MPP. Musah, first of all, why have you decided to take or to conduct this poll first? Because typically when we hear from you, is that as a by-election or the main elections and so on and so forth. You rarely do polls that talks about just movement or shifts in party affiliations. I mean, like I was, I may be wrong.
No, we've been doing this for ages.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I think let me set this record straight.
Right.
To everyone watching this program today.
Okay.
We have a published calendar.
Okay.
Polling calendar.
Right.
And that calendar says in the first quarter of each year, March, April, second quarter, July, June, July, third quarter, September, October, fourth quarter, December, we would publish our tracking poll. We call it a national tracking poll.
Okay.
Quarterly, rain or shine.
Right.
Whether government is in trouble or Ghana is in trouble, that quarterly calendar will be complied with.
Okay.
That is a calendar we publish to the whole world, because the people who consume this data are not just from Ghana here. There are international bodies that consume this data, and that calendar is fixed calendar. Does not matter what is happening in MPP or NDC, we don't care. That report will come out. And if you look at our report, we always refer to the previous period, what we were told by voters in the last period, last quarter, and what they are saying now. So they can have a perspective of what the movement, if any, are in the data. We also provide a tracking data. Sometimes it goes back to 2024, which we have done in this report. We have provided a party affiliation of people openly saying they are MPP or NDC from October 2024 all the way to today. So we can see the trend of the movement that is happening. So we've been doing this more every 90 days.
Oh.
Rain or shine.
Oh, that's good. That's fast. That's great. That's why I had to issue that caveat that I stand to be corrected. And I'm happy that you have set the record straight on this matter. And I'm so grateful for this. Now, what did you seek to find out? How many places or how many constituencies did you, poll the respondents? And also how many regions? What sample method you use, confidence level, etc., margin over a survey type. Walk us through all of that this morning.
Look, in this engagement, we spoke to about 12,472 voters, both in the face-to-face in the field, on telephone, and few also using the web mode. Now, these are random sampling of voters across. We don't target anybody.
Okay.
So the numbers that you see, the natural response from people we met randomly on the street.
Right.
And we have used a 99% confidence level and a margin of error around 1.4%. And as we indicated, the samples were drawn between 5th and 23rd March, which is today.
Okay.
So that is the methodology we've used for ages. In the past, we've only done the field and telephone. Last year, we added the online version because there are certain voters that are also relevant to decision-making in this country that we don't see them in the field. Certain class of voters, if you go to places that we go, on normal day, you meet them. But they are on social media. So we're able to get those views from social media. So we decided to do a multimodal approach methodology to make sure that we have the sample represent every people who have voice in this country. Every person who have voice in this country.
So, I noticed that, as you rightly said, that the field face-to-face was 60%.
Yeah.
And then the telephone, the telephone methodology or the telephone model was 13%, and the online being 19%. Why did you decide to do more face-to-face? For somebody
because that's where most voters are.
Okay.
Most voters will not be on telephone. We don't have all telephone numbers.
Right.
The phone numbers here are people who have met in the field over the last period that we call them back.
Right.
So for them, we are tracking their poll in the sense of what we call a tracking poll. What we call a longitudinal survey for them. But people in the face-to-face, most people, majority of voters are not on telephone.
Right.
You can't get them on the internet. So ideally, they should have the bigger representation from this sample.
And also, there are more females. There are more males than females. So you have 59% for males and 49% for females. Of course, that, like you said, is not targeted. It's still random.
It depends on if you look at the face-to-face, that will have much more closer percentage.
Okay.
Because in the field, we're able to manage how many women we engage and how many men we engage. Because you can see them physically, facially, and decide, I've done enough men, let me make sure that we are balancing it up with female.
Okay.
When you are doing it on telephone, you can also apply the same thing. But online, you don't determine who responds to the survey online. So the online tend to skew the gender a bit. But broadly, we want to understand the views of those who are on social media. And that's why it's important. So in some cases, if you want to kind of find the true voice of women voters, we adjust the weight to reflect the EC voting population structure.
And then for age groups, 35 to 44 were the highest. 36%.
Yeah.
18 to 24, which is more like the youth group, that's 7%. And then you also have between the 25 to 34 year groups representing 34%. And then 45 to 54 is 16%. 55 to 64, 5%, and the 65 plus 2%. Is there something to say about this?
Yeah, this is consistent in the sense that if you look at people who vote in this country, about 78% of them are 44 and below.
Okay.
If you add this data, it's about 77%. This is 1% shy of what we've come to know. So this is strictly or largely or broadly in line with what you normally see on the street. If you interview people who vote, not generally Ghanaians, voters, people who vote, you'll find out that about 78% of them are 44 years and below, which has a profound implication on what's going to happen in the election, because these guys will determine who becomes the president.
That's interesting. That's the 35 to 44 year groups.
Yes.
Okay.
And below, yes.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, you've been consistent. You've always said that we have an active, political group, but you have an active voter group, which is more younger, of a younger demographics. Now let's talk about education. So we're still on the demographics. Education, you're saying that you polled more. Okay, so SHS and tertiary are tying with 35% each. And then for JSS, you're looking at 17%. And then you have 13% no formal qualification at all. Doesn't mean they've not been to school at all?
They have been, but they haven't have qualification.
Yeah, as a certificate, isn't it? They don't have anything at all. Okay.
So, I mean, if you look at this data, the junior high school and the no formal education is almost constant or regular or average with what we've seen in the polls.
Okay.
Now, in this current poll, you see that there is a bit of rise in the people who are tertiary qualification holders, slightly, almost at par with senior high. Usually the senior high will be slightly higher. But because of the combined effect of the online voters were more elite.
Right.
So they helped that ratio to go up. But if you go back to the face-to-face, you realize that senior high school will be slightly higher than the tertiary qualification.
Makes sense.
Most important thing is that those without formal qualification, the number is around 10% to 13%. That is the number that is very consistent.
Right. Now let's talk about employment. So 64% of the people you polled are employed. So there's more. You spoke to more people who were employed than those who were not employed. So 24% you're talking about unemployed, 11% were students, and then 2% are pensioners.
I think this is broadly consistent with what we've seen in many of the polls. If you take our polls over the last four or previous 3 quarters, you see that these numbers are in line. Usually, if you want to see some consistency in the data, compare the numbers from last year to this, see whether there is a big swing or it's within some kind of small movement. And in most cases, you can see that it's in line with what we've been finding out.
Let's talk about religion. So you interacted more with Christians, and that's 71%.
It's no more. They are the number.
Yeah, well. You're right.
I mean, if you step off the street now,
you're more Christians. More Christians. I mean, the Ghana Statistical Survey.
Yes. I mean, and this is in line with the statistics of the GSS. Yes.
You're right.
A Muslim, around 21%. So this means that even if you don't believe in it, look at this demographic. It points to you that, look, this is what Ghanaians look like.
You're absolutely right. So Islam, 21%. Other religions, 1%. Traditional is 4%. Why did you add traditional to other religions?
Other religions are occasional.
Yes,
Sikhs and those ones. We want the traditional people to stand alone. What we've done here to try to reflect our structure of demography with that of the GSS, so that you can compare.
Right. And then those who are non-religious, that's 3%.
Yes.
Okay. Perhaps they are probably agnostics. Where they believe there's a God, but they don't believe in going through anybody, so that's an agnostic. And some other. There's lots of. So, there are any atheists.
Absolutely.
They don't believe in God at all. Anyway, so there's Islamic sects. Wow, this
and the Christian sects. If you look at from the Christian denominations, the Pentecostal are dominant.
Yeah.
About 20% of the people are Pentecostal.
Okay.
Then you have the Catholics, about 19% from the sample we engaged. Methodists, about 19%. Presbyterians, about 17%. Charismatics, around 14%. Anglican, 4%. Other groups, 4%. SDA, 2%. And JW, 1%.
Again, it's in line with what I call the national statistics as well. So, and then let's look at the Islamic sects. What is there to say?
I mean, the Sunnis are the most dominant, about 51%. And then you have the Tijaniya group, around 17%. Ahmadiyya, around 14%. Other sects, around 12%. And Shia, around 7%. What I would say that the other sects, mostly there are some Sunnis who don't know that they are Sunnis. So they will tell you they are others. And so this is, we have this kind of bit of confusion between the Sunni and other people. So we believe that some of the others are actually Sunnis, but they don't know that they are Sunnis.
That's interesting. Let's now look. You see, the reason why ethnicity for me and the religion factor for me is a very interesting one, because this, of course, I mean, you and I know, and it's not even you and I know, but I think that the records are there to show that the sense is that the MPP tends to enjoy more of their can votes, right, as compared to the NDC. And again, NDC tends to enjoy more of the Muslim northern votes as compared to the MPP. So I think that for watchers or consumers of this information must take the movements of the Islamic sect and the ethnicity thing very, very important. So walk us through the ethnicity thing again.
I mean, from the sample we engage,
okay,
46% of them are cans.
Wow.
If you go to GSS, it's about 47%. So margin of error is 1.4. So it's within the margin of error. MusahDanquah is about 12% in this sample. Evers around 11%. Other ethnic groups put together 10%, but MusahDanquah 9%. The Guan 6%, the Grushi 2%, Gruma 2%, the Mande group 1%, and the Guru near zero. Not zero, but just a fraction.
That's interesting.
And these groupings are in line with the GSS way of grouping the ethnic groups.
Okay. Now we'll revisit this when we return to the summary of the findings. Now let's talk about income levels. What is there to share?
Yeah, we decided this time around to include income level of people we interview.
Oh, so that's a new addition.
This is a new addition we have done. Try to see whether there will be correlation between people's income levels and the choices they make in the end. What choices are the rich guys going to go for? What choices would the lower income people going to go for? It will give us a better insight in our predictions going forward. Okay. So from the sample we engaged, about 28% of them did not tell us how much they earn. They won't tell us. But 20% say they have no income.
Wow.
So they have no income that they can say, okay, I get this every month. No.
So does that suggest they are living on the benevolence of people?
Yes. And Hangu on daily basis.
Wow. Okay.
And then we have about 20% of them earning less than 10,000 Ghana cedis a year.
Okay. Wow.
And 15% earning between 10,000 and 29,000 or 30,000. 9% earning up to 50,000. 4% between 50 and 70,000. 1% between 70 and roughly 100,000. And only 3% are earning 100,000 and above per annum. So you can slice and dice this data to see, even we come down the line, among people who say they are NDC, how many of them are in this income bracket? And we've done that, I think, in the document. Quite interesting stuff.